Hi, and welcome back to thoughtbot Live. Um, we are continuing on our journey of upgrading a decade-old Rails 3.2 application to the latest version of Rails, Rails 7, and the latest version of Ruby as well. And joining me today is Stefanni Brasil, developer at thoughtbot. Stefanni, thank you for joining me.
Yay! Happy to be here. Hello, everyone.
And Stefanni, you're also the maintainer, one of the maintainers of the Faker gem. And so, in about the last hour of today's stream, we'll jump on over and start working on Faker instead of the Rails upgrade. So people have that to look forward to. I've never worked on the Faker gem before, so I'm looking forward to jumping in with you and working on that.
Well, yeah, I have never upgraded an application before, so we are both beginners today, I guess.
Awesome. Yeah, I was saying Sarah, who's also joined me on the stream on this journey, hadn't ever done a significant Rails upgrade before either, and I was saying it's sort of usual nowadays because sometimes if you're working on a brand new version of a product, then you're probably doing it before a version of Rails or Ruby even comes out. And if you're on a larger team, upgrades might happen, but you might not be the one to do them. And so, and our journey so far has been a real trip down memory lane for me. We've gone from Rails 3.2 to Rails 4.0, and the failures we're dealing with now are ones that I dealt with, 10 years ago when upgrading our applications. And so it's fun to discover them and try to track down the fixes. It's especially hard now because it's been so long. Documentation is out of date. It's hard to find things. And so it's actually been pretty fun. So as you follow along, if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat. There's going to be times where we're stumped as to what's happening. If you've got an idea, put it in the chat. You're going to need your help along the way. And if you have any unrelated, other comments, questions, that kind of thing, we'd love to answer them as we work. And so before we dive in, I just want to remind people that you can hire thoughtbot to start your Rails application, upgrade your existing Rails or Ruby application, maintain your Rails application. That's what we actually do as a business. Some people think we only do open source or we only blog. No, we work with clients. And that is what our actual business is. So we'd love to work with you on these sorts of problems and other problems. And if you're interested, go to thoughtbot.com/hire us. Awesome. Let's dive in. I'm going to share my screen. And we're picking up right where we left off yesterday. So we made to be honest, it went slower than I was expecting. This whole process has gone slower than I'm expecting because of just how outdated everything is. But we made good progress. We started the day with, I think, about 20 plus spec failures. We ended with 4. Most of the problems after we did the clearance upgrade were changes. Rails 3.2 had a completely different mass assignment protection system for attributes than Rails 4 did. And so changing the app to use that new system has been the majority of the failures. Okay, so we have these 4 failures here. These failures here. The last one is an active record not found. The middle 2 are ones that I spent the first about 45 minutes trying to resolve on yesterday's stream, and I could not figure it out. And so I decided, after spending that much time on it, to move on, and maybe we'll come back to it today. And then the top error is the spec Oh no, not that spec. This spec here.
Cool. So we have some people joining. Hello, everyone. And I wanted to ask if everyone can read the screen. If you're okay with making it bigger, Chad.
Can everyone hear me okay? And is the quality good? Because something just happened with my mic. Okay, and it's nice and loud and clear? Okay, great. How's that for the size now? Is that better?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you.
No problem. I'm going to make this a little bit wider. I'm going to make this a little bit there. Okay. So we have we expected to find the text blue on this page. So the spec itself, we can see what it's doing is it's looking at a survey that is this application is the example application that comes with our book on Rails best practices called Ruby Science. And what it is it's a survey builder. You can build surveys and then people can complete the surveys. So this spec sets up an editable survey and then goes into it and adds a multiple choice question to the survey, fills in a title for the question, and then it adds options with text, blue and red, and then submits the question. And then what it's saying is that stuff should appear on the page. I can tell from the failure, Stephanie, that the button is still there to add multiple, add questions, add different kinds of questions. And it has the text, what is your favorite color? But none of those options were actually added or are visible on the page. So it seems to be a legit failure to me. So I have the context from yesterday that a lot of the problems that we were dealing with were attributes being mass assigned that we weren't permitting because that wasn't the syntax previously in the controllers. And so that's basically, I want to tail the log, and I want to see whether that's actually happening when this spec runs. Where am I here? Oh yeah, example app.
Yeah, from the message, it looks like it tried to save, but then there was some error that couldn't be saved. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So just to refresh for me, because I haven't been up to date, what versions of Ruby and Rails are we at right now?
We're currently at Ruby 2.2 and Rails 4.0. And we've been, it took us a while to get to this point because of how big of the difference is and how old the stuff was. So for example, I actually can't, I have a Apple Silicon Mac. It cannot run old versions of Ruby natively anymore. So I'm actually running this app. You can see my prompt says I'm on Ubuntu machine. It is a fully emulated Ubuntu in QEMU on my machine for Intel. Okay, so we got the failure. We got the same failure again, and let's look at the log. Yeah, so unpermitted parameters are being thrown up in the log there. So it's the questions controller, and we got the submittable type, the submittable attributes, and the options attributes that are being rejected because they're not permitted.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go over to that controller, questions controller. Let's see what we got here. Was it the update or the create action? Create. Yeah, it's the create action.
Great. Mm-hmm.
So we can see it finds the relevant survey, then it builds the question. So build question, it's calling submittable params. Submittable params are okay. So I see that it is permitting minimum, maximum options attributes. We actually changed that yesterday. It wasn't doing it at all. So we had other spec failures that were failing because it was trying to do this and nothing was being permitted.
Okay. But we are still getting the options attributes as unpermitted in the logs or no?
That's what it says.
Options attributes. Unpermittable attribute. Submittable type. Yeah, I see being used in type but not being permitted.
So one of the ways that so we so it's calling this build submittable method on question. We ran into this problem with this yesterday. So let's go look at that method. So we changed how this method was written yesterday because it was previously doing attributes.merge question self, and that was causing a mass assignment error here because we were then doing mass assignment. So we changed this to a tap and explicitly setting the question so that is no longer mass assignment. So my concern is the attributes coming through here are not all permitted. So they're getting to here and it is rejecting because of the mass assignment that's happening and they're not permitted. The so we have submittable type, submittable attributes, but then the options attributes is coming through at a different step. So that leads me to believe that there's actually two places where mass assignment is happening. Just want to, so the type is coming through on the form, multiple choice submittable. The type here is coming from the params like that, which should be safe, but it is not. See,
sorry, Chad. I think we have someone just asking to maximize the screen a little bit more.
To maximize the screen a little bit more?
Yeah, maybe make it bigger. People to read. Okay. Hopefully that's better. Yeah.
Okay, I'm running out of screen real estate here.
Uh,
Okay.
yeah, that's good. Thank you. Cool.
So the on the questions controller, we were in the create, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in the create, this build question method is doing question params here,
Mm-hmm.
and then build submittable with submittable params. So we have two mass assignments happening, one with question, one with
Mm-hmm.
submittable params. If we go back to the log, that is that. So it's question submittable type and submittable attributes. So these we don't want to be mass assigned. So
Mm-hmm.
that's actually okay because we're manually setting those, not using mass assignment on there. The code's just not then removing them from the params, which is okay. That's okay.
Mm-hmm.
So what's not coming across is the options for the actual failure is we're trying to create a question with options and they're not being saved. And so here we go, unpermitted parameters, options, attributes.
Yeah, I think that we have a comment from Fabio. I believe the type method can raise an exception if the first key doesn't exist.
Yeah, in this
But
case, that the first key is always going to exist. That question key is always going to exist. At least for the context of this, I don't think we need to worry about that. But thanks, Fabio. Okay, so this one here is options attributes are coming through. I believe, if I remember right, yeah, so it is being permitted right here. Let's just check is it coming through unsubmittable attributes, options attributes? Okay, so options attributes is actually a hash.
mm-hmm.
And we're only permitting it as just a
Yeah.
attribute here. So we need to change this, right? To be, that's the syntax, right, Stephanie?
I mean, I don't know about that version, but I only use like options attributes column the hash.
Yeah, this is Ruby 2.2, so we
yeah.
have to use the old hash
Yeah.
syntax.
Okay.
I'm
Try
pretty
one
sure,
time.
but I am looking forward to getting to a Ruby where we can start to simplify that.
Yeah.
So hopefully we're going to get a pass here on this.
Mm-hmm.
Nope. Let's see what the failure is.
Okay, but the error is different, at least, I guess. Oh.
Expected to find blue. It looks the same to me. Let's go over to our log and see what happened here.
Yeah. Submittable type.
Oh, okay. So now we have made progress. We're accepting options attributes now, but we actually need to specify that it permits text.
Mm,
So that syntax goes back to an array, right? Like that.
yeah, let's see.
Let's run this back.
I always get confused with accepting hashes.
I do too. We went back and forth yesterday. We had a complicated one and
Yeah.
it wasn't working, and it took a while to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we've got another person on the stream from Canada.
Yay.
And we've got the spec passing. So there we go. Awesome.
Cool.
So let's run. Oh, let's commit that.
Hello, Bruno. Can't believe it. Nice to meet you here. We worked at my first Ruby job ever. It was a great team. Welcome, Bruno. Welcome, Thiago, Gui, everyone.
Oh, we lost my editor. And now I'm forced to use Nano here. Control O.
I guess Control X.
And export. Okay. Okay, so let's run all the specs again. What I expect to get from that is we've only fixed one of the failures. It only looked like it was this one failure without it related to any of the others. But let's confirm that and see. Oh, I'm not gonna start a Emacs versus VI conversation on the stream. So you'll notice running the specs is a little slow because, again, I'm running this app because it's such an old version of Ruby in an entirely emulated x86 instance. It's not even virtualized, it's emulated. I'm actually surprised that it's as workable as it is. I can't really come a long way. Emulation.
Yeah, and I think that's the main cost of not upgrading stuff.
Yeah. Okay, so we went from 4 to 3 failures, which is what I expected. And we've got the two custom validation specs, which are failing, which really tripped us up yesterday. Spent a lot of time trying to fix it and couldn't. And then we've got this other one here. So let's look at that one instead, because I'm still demoralized from not being able to fix the other one yesterday. So this is a active record not found on the options model. So it's a unit spec, model spec.
Okay.
And the spec is building a stubbed multiple choice question. Creates the submittable with that question, and then calls the score method. So let's look at the score method. Calls find by text, looks for that, and calls the score method on it. So find by text is finding an option with that text. Text is the attribute.
Okay, so I'm a bit confused by that spec. Like, what is not being found? Is it the question or the score? It's the question, right? The option, sorry.
An option with that text is attempting to be found, and it's throwing a record not found, which I'm surprised. We're building a stubbed question, and then we are creating multiple choice submittable with that question. We're never
Mm-hmm.
saving it.
Yeah.
We're then calling options. Oh, we're stubbing a score.
Mm-hmm.
How would it ever have been found if nothing's actually saved to the database? Am I reading that right?
I okay. I mean, the test is asserting that it should have received score, but not that the
Mm-hmm.
object was created, right? So, but okay, there is a line on line 50 that would, I guess, would only be green if it was created, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I don't, are we using factories on that app?
Yes. Yeah. So what I want to do is I want to look at multiple choice submittable,
Mm-hmm.
because the fact that it has options at all is surprising to me because there's nothing in the spec which is setting options unless
Mm-hmm.
multiple choice question. Maybe actually it's more likely that the factory is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we're doing multiple choice submittable. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Multiple choice question.
Question. Okay.
Okay. Oh, it is so it just has a submittable.
Mm-hmm.
It is underneath question. So I don't ignore options text. Okay, so the factory is putting options on it.
Mm.
It's building them though. So this is what's interesting to me is if it's stubbing a question,
Mm-hmm.
then is it actually failing to save because you can't save an active record object with a stubbed thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why this would have worked in the past. You know, we're going from a pretty rudimentary version of active record and it's becoming more robust over time at this stage from 3.2 to 4.0. So maybe it's
Mm-hmm.
possible. It used to be possible to save something
Mm-hmm.
like that. That seems surprising to me.
Yeah.
But let's just validate the.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to just say persisted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Tiago is asking, is the question A belongs to association? I think something related to that changed and maybe it's not option anymore or something.
Yeah. So I think we're saying yeah we're on the same page there with that.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm doing is I'm just seeing whether it's actually persisted and whether the options
Mm-hmm.
are there and what they look like. Because then this stuff wouldn't actually be persisted at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's
False.
not
Yeah.
persisted. There's nothing in the association.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that that's right. And I think, what do you think
Mm-hmm.
about just changing this to use a actual active record object?
Yeah. I mean for that. Mm-hmm. Triple choice. Immutable.
I want to look at the option class.
Mm-hmm.
So I realize now that I'm popping over here to look at this, that the method being stored on that was score. So find by text, if that was properly being stubbed, would have never actually been called. And so that leads me to believe it might not be that find by text that's calling the record not found. But let's finish, I guess, what we were doing there. So the submittable is a multi-choice submittable being associated with that question. Do we need to set up options on it?
Options.
I think we probably do, right?
So if you could you go back to the factory? I think that there is a factory that already creates with all of that, right? Or no? Option tag.
That's multi-choice submittable. Multiple choice submittable creates one with options. Yeah.
Okay. But is there what is the first factory that we're creating again in the test?
It was a multiple choice question. So that's different. It's right here. And that has a submittable.
Which is that
with
factory.
Okay. So it's interesting because multiple choice questions should create it with the submittable. So if we do this, I don't know why we need to do that at all. And then this would be well, we don't want to, I think we want to remove this stubbing entirely.
Yeah.
But let's just see what that does. I don't know what this target is.
Options target.
See, there's no target method. I noticed in the options class there was no target method. Undefined local variable or method submittable. Did I make a typo?
For score. Oh, but the error is on line 46.
Oh, yeah.
So
I didn't add, I replaced it, but didn't. Do you know what this target is?
No.
It's not defined anywhere in our application, and the only place that it's used is
in that.
So that's really interesting to me, and I wonder whether it's an old stubbing syntax.
Oh, yeah. That could be.
Okay, so we're getting the active record not found there. And that's happening in the score method.
But now we should have the option, the question there, right? Because and maybe it's that stubbing of score 2 that is not working.
Yeah, let's remove that stub and see what we actually have in options. It should match what was created on the factory, which was okay. So we can set an option text for the factory, the multiple choice submittable factory. Okay, so options is empty there, which is sort of I interesting because, oh, it's only doing it if we set options text.
Oh, I see.
Okay, so
We can.
submittable equals create. Here, multi-choice submittable. Options texts, and we want it to be 2.
Yeah.
And
That's...
now, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna ask if anyone in the chat has seen that target in spec before.
So what I expect to happen here is likely the result is now returned, but the failure we're going to get. Oh no, same failure.
Interesting.
Oh, I changed. I didn't ever associate the question.
Oh.
Let me wrap these lines.
Oh. Should be okay.
Okay, cool. We've got an option. It has the text 2. And the failure now is the expectation for having received that method. It's unstubbed, which is what we expected.
Yeah.
So now we don't need this expectation at all.
Yeah.
I don't actually know what this method is, this score method is doing, and why the result is going to equal 2. That is it. It's like,
yeah, that's it. So it returns the score for the option with the given text.
So it got 0 and it expected 2, but we don't know why it expected 2. So okay, so then the option has a score method, find by text, and then it calls the score method on an option. Do options have scores? Schema. Score. Options have scores. We're only setting the text.
Yeah. So it's not
the default there.
So I guess the score here is, I still don't get what score means here. Is it, for example, I create this question, you have the options.
And every option has a score so that you can compute the overall score of people's survey answers.
Okay.
So Fabio is right. It was previously stubbing the result to be 2 of the score method rather than actually computing it. So I think what we want to do is actually set up an option with a score in the spec. So we'll no longer rely on
The factor.
the factory setting the options from the text, and instead we'll create
Mm-hmm.
an option with the text 2
True.
and the score 2.
Mm-hmm.
And that belongs to the submittable.
Mm-hmm.
And then I feel good about this, Stephanie. I feel good about this one. Moment of truth.
Yeah, so while the tests are running, Chiang is saying that I think target is a method of collection proxy. Target is the association itself.
Yeah, you're right. I don't know that I've ever used that method before. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, we got a failure. Undefined method submittable for option.
I think the
Oh, it belongs to a
submittable is,
question.
yeah. That question. Mhm. Yeah, this was interesting. I don't
It's always a balance with stubbing, because you know you run the risk of some underlying something changing and getting into a position where the things you're stubbing don't really make sense anymore.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, we're back to the an option with the text 2 not being found. So I think I'm probably setting something up wrong here now. We have the question being created. We go ahead.
What if you create the option first and then you add that option when you are creating the question? Oh yeah, Fabio saying try to reload the question.
Good call, Fabio.
Yeah. That's true. I always forget about that. Mm-hmm. Okay.
No.
Questions.
Well, let's do your suggestion, which was move this up, right?
Like if you create, oh, but you need the question to create the option, right? Yeah, never mind. I guess.
Let's just look. We know. Let's look at the text. Okay. It belongs to question, so that's okay.
It has a text. What? The score. Is the score in the option?
Yeah. It's not being set on the factory because it has a default of 0, but score is a column on option. So let's just was people were saying in yesterday when I was doing put statements in the specs, everyone was like, or some people who were watching were like, "Do you ever use pry?" That's like, it's really not part of my muscle memory, but it's probably something that I should try to incorporate into my workflow. What about you? Do you use pry in the specs?
I have just been using debugger.
Undefined method options for question. I think I may have
Pry.
Okay, so I think I see the problem. There's no belongs to declared for question or for option. There's no has many defined for options there. And if we go, it does belong to question. So we're just missing the reciprocal. But the factory, the factory is setting question ID. So this doesn't exist. Everything's going through the submittable in order to do things with that.
Has one question belongs.
And has many options for an ID, question ID.
That's mutable. Okay. Yeah.
That's not going to work.
Options.
So
okay. Oh, we got stuff there.
Yeah, and so the question ID is set on the option, but submittable.options is nothing.
Yeah.
Oh, the foreign ID is the name of the column is question underscore ID, but the actual model that it is related to is the submittable.
Oh, okay.
And that is why this spec was explicitly setting, or why that factory was previously explicitly calling, because that. So now we're setting the submittables ID on the option, because the option belongs to question. So this app has some like, it's showing how applications change. So it's this weirdness here stands out to me and I want to note it as like, look into where in the book it's talking about this, because it might be like an incomplete change.
Mm.
So I'll make a note to look into that. But in the meantime, I just want to validate the multi-choice submittable is taking the ID from the multi-choice submittable and setting it as question_ID on the option. And now our spec is doing the same thing.
Options. Cool.
I'm no longer going to say I feel good about this as the specs run. I don't feel good about it anymore, especially with a foreign key that is named to not match the model that it's associated with.
Hooray.
We got a pass, but I don't feel good about it.
It passes. Why pass? It shouldn't.
Well, it should have passed. I expected it to pass, but it, yeah.
Yeah, that was interesting. Yeah, having it.
Okay. Well, we got it passed, and I have notes here from things that I've been cataloging along the way, and I will make a note here. Oh, I lost the actual page. I found it. Okay, so what is the question? Why is the foreign key question on option for submittable? So this is totally a thing I was talking about when we were starting. This is the first note I've created this session, but I've just collected questions along the way, and this is what will happen doing a Rails upgrade. It's like you need to contain what the surface area of what you're worried about, because it can very easily balloon. That's also one of the reasons why we move step by step, because if we change too much at once, we can find ourselves in a situation where too much stuff is broken and we don't know what broke what. And we end up having to scrap everything and start over, and we lose a big chunk of our work. Same thing where like these questions will come up, and we could dig into them now, or we could say, you know what, this doesn't make any sense that this foreign key, it doesn't match the model. And then we go off and we start making that change, and it breaks a bunch of stuff, and we have no idea whether the Rails upgrade caused those failures or the change we made caused those failures. So so I like to collect the notes along the way of things I'm going to look into later. They'll make their way into like a ticketing system or something too, but like I find just a piece of paper is the way that I would normally do it. So the actual failure, sorry, you were going to say?
No, it's just confirming that and especially like I was also thinking about that, but then about renaming the column. But I think that learning that skill of keep focus, like write down, so that helps me a lot, because I take it out of my head. But if I don't write it down or put it somewhere else, it just stays there and distracts me. That's a good skill. The other thing that I noticed was we're still using Factory Girl.
Yeah. the rename happens a few years after this, and so I don't think we can change. I don't know that we can change the gem to factory bot because it will.
Yeah.
I think it'll be at Rails 5 or something. We'll be able to do that. But we will make that change when we actually can.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay, Stephanie, we are down to 2 failures, but they're the 2 failures for the validation error message that I spent time on yesterday and couldn't fix.
Okay.
Now, for a significant portion of that, I was doing it by myself. I didn't have help, so hopefully, with our heads combined, we can make it.
We also have folks on the chat.
Yes.
So could you walk me through what you found yesterday? At least for me, I find it helpful to just explain the error, like the rubber duck.
Yeah, totally. Let's I'll bring up the spec and so the failure is that the validation errors that we're getting. So we expected emails invalid. 1 is not a valid email. Emails invalid. 2 is not a valid email. But what we got was just emails is invalid. And if we go to the spec, actually, this is a better spec. This is a custom validator, which validates the format of an email to make sure that it's a valid email. And so our spec is not going through, our spec is building a class from scratch with active model validations with a adder accessor email. And then it is manually calling the email validator and giving it that record. And it's saying, run the validation for the attribute email. And we're getting back an email. Invalid email we want to get back a custom thing. So if we go over to the email validator, we can see that it uses a regex to check whether it's a valid email, and if not, it adds the error to it. So when I was working on this yesterday, I one thing I found, and let's see if I can demonstrate it.
It's not getting there.
I forget. So
yeah.
Yeah, so it did not print out that. And so therefore it is not getting to that. As far as I can tell. But then how is it declaring the email is invalid?
Isn't that maybe that is a default when you call the active record validator and it doesn't find the custom message?
Or that it doesn't. oops, or that validate. Oh, so the other thing I have it still up from.
Mm-hmm.
This is the 4.0 Rails Guides 4.0 for active
Mm-hmm.
record validations, custom validators, and it really we started laughing. Let me make this bigger. We started laughing yesterday when we brought up this page because it's doing exactly what the example custom validator
Mm-hmm.
is an email validation.
Oh, I see.
And we put it side by
Yeah.
side, and we couldn't find a difference. In fact, we rewrote this to be just like this,
Mm-hmm.
and it made no difference. So it seems to me like this validator isn't being called at all,
Mm-hmm.
and yet our spec is literally calling email validator.
Mm.
So perhaps the validate method isn't causing validate each to be called,
Mm.
and it's calling something else.
Method might, yeah. Probably say method might be different. Like validate doesn't call validate each.
Right. So did right.
Mm-hmm.
So let's look at active model each validator
Mm-hmm.
on the and 4.0. So each validator is a validator which iterates through the attributes given in the options hash, invoking the validate each method, passing in the record, attribute, and value.
Yeah. So that.
It has a method called validate. It takes a record,
Mm-hmm.
and that is what we're doing.
However, will be removed. Yeah. So Tiago is bringing a good point because I just fixed the deprecation warning related to that on an application that I'm working on. Um, have you tried using that syntax where you add the error to the errors array instead of errors.add?
Yeah, I tried
You tried.
changing that yesterday. I
Okay.
rewrote this method to do that instead, and it made no difference.
Okay. Yeah. Could it?
So active model was introduced in 4.0, and I noticed that our application is has this in lib. And then what our spec is doing, it's not inheriting from active model. It's just the validations.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this five. This is something. Mail.
So what I'm doing now is I'm overriding what I think is the validate method on this. And I'm just going to raise here. And I want to see if that fails with the raise. So because I really have a sense that this isn't working the way that we expect because validate each isn't being called.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that didn't even raise. I've got that right. Validate should be a method on the validator. And I raised there and it didn't even do it. This spec though is using email validator.
Okay. So I'm seeing a test here as an example, and we are not. So sorry, let me check. How is the test calling that again? Okay. So what the test with the application that I'm working on is doing is it creates like a dummy class that includes that validation, that custom validation. And then it calls valid on that dummy class, and then we check the error.
Yes. So we can do that, and we probably should. I did that change yesterday, and it also had no effect. So you want to type that?
Let's try this out. Yeah.
And I do have
It's
Vim
working.
key bindings.
Can I make this just a little bit bigger? Okay, so this is the spec, and then we have the class. What's that name? Can we initialize something here? Oops, let me. I lost my windows. Here. Okay, so we have that. So we have the email, and then can we include that? Oops. No validation. Oh, sorry, it's already there.
It's already, yeah, that's already there.
And then we call validate, is it email? True. And then we initialize that it was for email. Oops. Yeah. And then if we call this dummy class, example class. So let's try that out. Oops. I just want you.
There you go.
So if we just do the email. You said that you tried that, and
Yeah, so you can call record. Oh no, because it's not assigning record anymore. Yeah.
oops. If we do, is this our spec? It is. Yeah.
It is, yeah.
It's, email. So let's see what we can.
Yeah. I believe that I disabled the expect syntax because this app was using should syntax, and we didn't want to change the entire specs, even though we needed to make a choice on Rails 4 whether and the latest or the R spec at that time. You can give it a try. It might error with that expect syntax.
Okay. Let's see that.
Did you change the example class to? Okay, yeah, you did.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So when we did this change yesterday, we got exactly the same failure. Yeah, undefined method expect. So you need to use the should syntax. So
Okay. Thank you.
No problem.
It's been a while.
It has for me too. What I plan on doing is not worrying about it and then doing that change, because we also, in this case, we want to keep a clean Git history as well. And that would be also an example of a thing where I don't want to go changing the syntax in all the specs, because then if they all break, I won't know whether that's something I did or something Rails the upgrade did. Undefined method, local variable or method record. Oh, we're no longer setting record.
But now if we inspect, that, let's see what.
Inspect the email?
Yeah, because this is what we are testing, right? We want to test the custom message.
Yeah.
And also, Fabio is asking, is there a chance there would be another email validator defined somewhere else?
Yeah, that's why I was searching over here whether there was an email validator defined somewhere else. And as far as I can tell, there's not. But I agree. It looks like something like that's going on. So yeah, same exact failure. It's not actually using, as far as I can tell, it's not actually using that. So let's delete the email. Oh, yeah, let's delete the email validator class. Well, I guess we could just comment it out.
Yeah.
Remind me
or
again how
you leave the class but just comment the methods, because I think somewhere else is calling it, right? Or no?
I was just gonna comment out the entire thing and see.
Yeah, let's do it.
Remind me again how to comment out
it's comment slash.
So what do we expect to happen here? We expect it to say email validator is not defined.
Yeah. Unless it is by a magic place.
That's why I was looking. I searched. I don't know if you noticed. I didn't. I looked to see whether there was an email validator in Rails. Oh boy.
Oh. Okay.
Okay.
But
Okay,
So
let's look more closely over here. Yeah, it is frustrating, Fabio. Thank you for commiserating. This is development. This is why we love it.
yeah.
Okay.
What is going on?
Enumerable validator. So someone asked yesterday whether this app was using Spring, and the class was actually not. But I thought that Spring didn't exist yet in Rails 4.0 and that there was no autoloader in Rails 4.0 caching anything. I don't know whether that's true or not, but it sounded good. Nothing's jumping out at me.
Yeah.
Rails email validator. Hold on a sec. No.
There is a what is that?
What is this? Active model email. Oh, okay, it's a gem.
Okay. I just saw Ruby, but okay, the active model email validated gem. Okay. Could it be calling one of this? Yeah.
No. Now
No.
we do use the email spec, which is just in the test environment for validating, like it has helpers for our spec for checking email bodies and that kind of thing. I really don't think that
So Eric
hey
is
Eric. Yes. So how we would do in the spec, we would say, what would it be? Email validator. So email, Eric is suggesting we use source location to find it. So is that on the class? Oh wait, no. It's on an exception, isn't it?
I've never used that. So I don't know.
The problem is if we don't have something to of the binding object.
So you can do method symbol validate dot source location.
Const source location.
Source location. Then you pass.
And it takes a string or a symbol. Okay.
Let's try.
This is wild. I didn't think we were gonna run into something like this.
Yeah.
So on the instance of email validator. Yeah, okay. So if this doesn't work, we can do that.
Modified method. Okay.
Oh, it would be on the okay.
The email.
Okay, so if we do email validator dot new and as an aside, just because it's the top of mind, I was saying I didn't think we could use the new hash syntax, but we're clearly using it right here. So note to future self.
Yeah. Source location. What do we get? Undefined
Undefined method for. So that method's not defined there, which I think we're just calling it wrong. Anyone?
Think you need to specify method validate. Okay, let's try that.
Like that.
Sort of. Okay.
Okay, so active model, lib active model validator. Can we swear on this stream? I don't know. I haven't established that yet.
Oh, but that was a really good call. All right. Yeah. And that was the file that you were showing.
No, it's not.
No?
This is in the active model gem, lib active model validator.
This is some custom error message.
It's not here.
Validate. Each validator validate.
Oh.
That's the one, I guess.
Okay. Wait. Yeah. So yeah, we're calling it on validate. So it's giving us the source location of the validate method, and that is active model. So false alarm. I initially saw that and I was like, there's an email validator included in an active model. But that's not what's happening. I
like different methods on top of this one. Oh. No. No, we're calling the each validator.
Okay, I'm just gonna remove that lib active model model file. Okay, so Tiago suggested renaming the validator to see what happens. I think that's a good suggestion. Okay, so I removed the active model and that didn't make any change. Okay.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. Custom email validator.
Yeah, I like it.
I was actually pairing with a teammate on a sidekick upgrade, and the project we're working on has a custom Redis client.
Mm-hmm.
And for Sidekick 7, I guess, they introduce a gem that is called Redis client. So don't use names like that. Like, Redis client. It was funny. Like, no way.
Okay, so I renamed the file. I renamed the class in the file.
Mm-hmm.
And then I changed this to custom email true.
Okay. All right.
Oh, Dash wants me to upgrade. Dash is a great program, but we're not going to upgrade right now.
Do you need to update the spec as well? The file name.
Oh.
Yes, probably because there is no.
Well, see, this runtime error is happening in custom email validator. So that's good. At least we're in the file we expect to be in.
Yeah.
Oops. Oh, it's the raise that I added.
Oh. So now we are at the correct file.
Where is email validator coming from?
Could it be from Daiji? Yeah. Great job, everyone.
Okay, so
oh, you have to change the name of the file that you're calling the spec.
Thank you.
Sorry.
So how can we actually figure out where that email validator is coming from? Oh, it's the same failure.
No. No, it's not. Is it?
No, it's not. So we expected email invalid email. Oh, because our spec
But
is
that's
setting
because,
all
yeah,
that.
exactly.
Okay.
No.
So, oh no. So we can go back to
but I. Oh, okay. I might be wrong, but don't we just get the full messages if we call valid? Let's see.
valid returns true or false, but which they should be being added by this.
That one. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it's because we changed that class. You can put it back if you want.
Woo woo. Okay.
That was a fun ride.
Okay, we still don't know where this email validator class is coming from, which has me concerned.
Yeah.
How can we find that out? People were saying source location, but on the validate method, okay, if we do email validator, new, if we do it on the validate each method,
Yeah, Fabio is
I'm not printing it. Okay, so Fabio is suggesting that. Fortunately, I can't copy and paste from the. Okay, let's see what this prints out, and then.
YouTube.
Ooh, email validator gem.
Clearance.
Clearance. Those fine folks at thoughtbot included clearance in their email validation gem and clearance.
Wow. That was interesting one.
So I'm not seeing it mentioned in these docs. I want to see whether it's currently in clearance. So let's look at the gem spec.
It's a dependency.
It is a dependency even today.
Yeah, email validator. That is interesting.
So we went from clearance .0 0.17 to 1.7 in this upgrade process. My guess is that when this application was written, clearance didn't include the email validator gem.
Nice.
So Tiago says that they ran into a naming problem. As an aside, there's an app I work on where it has a model called devices. This is Hub Stephanie has a model called devices, and we no longer just store devices in there. If someone has a desk or a chair and we want to keep track of it, but the correct word, if you look up synonyms for things that would match that, the correct one would be assets. And I really can't bring myself to even attempt introducing an asset model into Rails, which would be a /assets route.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Okay.
Could be a device assets, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. So the clearance gem now brings in email validator, which provides an email validator, but we previously had one written, custom.
Mhm. Oh, yeah.
So I think, thinking off the top of my head, if this wasn't an example application accompanying a book,
Mm-hmm.
I think the right thing to do here would be to remove our email validator. And we've got a
Mm-hmm.
dependency on clearance, and clearance provides an email validation, and we could just use that.
Mm-hmm.
From a book perspective, I want to see whether we document the
Mm.
email validation in any way in the book. So let's just uh, go over to the book.
Yeah, that's a good call. Ah, extract validator.
Yeah,
Okay.
so we're giving an example of there is
Mm-hmm.
an invitation class with email validation logic, and we're documenting how to extract it into a custom validator.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so we can't merely just rip this out without actually changing the content of the book.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I see. Uh, I guess the other option is remove the custom validation and just leave the one that clearance gives to us,
Mm-hmm.
and then we change that later.
Change the book later.
Yeah, or revisit this. I don't know. Maybe we could create another validator as an example for the book that is not
Yeah.
an email.
Yeah. So one thing we could do right now is we've renamed this to custom email validator.
Mm-hmm.
We could carry forward that change, and then we would need to update the book
The book.
to name it custom email validator instead.
Mm-hmm.
That's one option, but it becomes so that one of the things I love about Ruby Science is that the examples in it are real,
Mm-hmm.
and it starts to get artificial if we're doing that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but so we have to strike a balance between what we do today to move forward
Yeah.
and what we do for the book tomorrow. I'm using tomorrow metaphorically, but
Um. Well, I guess the easiest decision right now would be to keep it as it was, but we change the custom error message to match the one that comes from the email validator from the dependence, and then we revisit that. But
mm,
but that with that we wouldn't, like, the example that we use in the book wouldn't be that validator that we created.
right. Not right now, anyway.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Um,
Okay, I think maybe we should change it to custom email validator.
mm-hmm. Fabio is saying the clashing name is a good example of a real life issue, probably worth a note in the book explaining the reason for the custom name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
think we can stop saying bundle exec. We needed to on Rails 3.2, but I think we can stop now. So if the specs pass and we've changed our app to use custom email validator, so we're no longer using the one provided by the gem, we're going to need to deal with that, but at least we have a working app. I would feel comfortable adding that to a to-do list to rectify when it comes to the book content.
Yeah. +1. Hooray.
Well, that's nice. That's good.
Can we do conferes on StreamYard? I don't know.
Okay, so we fixed the email validator specs. We found that being provided by the email validator gem in clearance, and to work around this. Okay. Good enough. Oh. So we've got a fully passing test suite. It's 15 minutes to the hour. How do you feel about taking a quick break and then switching over to working on Faker?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Cool. So we will be back in about 5 minutes, everybody. And we will oh, I clicked the wrong music. Oh, this is pleasant. It's not really my style, though. Gotta go for dance pop. Okay. So we'll be back in about 5 minutes, and when we resume, we will switch to Stephanie's screen and work on Faker. See you all in a bit.
See you. We're back.
Welcome back, everybody. Okay, Stephanie, you want to share your screen with me?
Oh, right. Yeah. Do I present on Tuple or here? I think we talked about this.
On Tuple. Just share your screen with me on Tuple.
Okay. I think this is my screen.
Yep.
Okay. Can I turn the music off?
I'm going to do that. Thanks. Oh, you got it. Awesome.
DJ Chad. For those of you who don't know, Chad is our DJ on our company meetings. Okay, and then, okay, cool. So if I change my terminal, okay. So welcome back, everyone. We just got from our break, and Chad and I thought of going through Faker Ruby. And yeah, I was on vacation, so I have some stuff that I need to reply and stuff like that. But there is an open issue that I have been thinking what we will do with that. Don't know if anyone is familiar with Faker, but Faker generates random data for your application. So you can have email addresses, a bunch of stuff, and one of them is the phone number. And this one is a very old one. And I actually centralized everything on this issue. But so the main problem is Faker generates random data, right? And although, and especially here at thoughtbot, we don't recommend using Faker for tests because it can be tricky, especially if it is, the data that you are generating is critical for your application. Like I wouldn't rely on random data for the tests, right?
Yeah, you want your tests, unless you generally want your tests to be deterministic.
Yeah, exactly. And so, but I think that, if it's not a critical part of your app, it's not a big issue to use random data. But this one is a bit tricky because I think that people have been using it to generate numbers for tests. And because it's random, there's no way there's no way, I won't say that, go back to that. But I was researching like how do we handle this? Because I was even studying what makes a phone number valid and what makes a phone number invalid.
Can I ask, what is E164?
Right. So I think that that's a good question. I was also learning about this. But it's so phone numbers. I think it's the whole phone number, international phone number, with the plus. Yeah. So it's the entire phone number so that anyone from anywhere in the world could reach me. And it's not a, as you can see, it depends a lot on the country.
Right.
Yeah, so that's the main issue that I.
Okay, so Faker, even so, this isn't just a spec issue though, because
Yeah.
say someone was using Faker to generate a bunch of seed data in their
Mm-hmm.
application, and then Faker generates an invalid phone number, and
Yeah.
someone's using PhoneLib in order to
Yeah.
do validations again.
Yeah.
Then it's going to fail the validation because it's not necessarily a valid number.
Yeah. And also, Faker also has, we have some locales. So the default is English US. And for example, if I'm, I guess, in New Zealand or Australia or something like that, that number is completely different from the one from the US. So yeah, it's tricky because I was researching about that because, for example, PhoneLib and the other libraries, they show you how to validate a phone number to see if it is valid or possible. They even use that word like possible, but there are no common ground on what makes a phone number valid. And so how do we generate valid whatever that means in the random
What is
data
Faker
context?
currently doing to generate that number?
Yeah, that's a good question. So let's dip here. So we have this phone number here. This is the class that will fetch the random. I'll make it bigger, probably bigger. Okay. So with Faker, we have some helper methods that do some stuff with our YAML files. And so, for example, what this parse does is it will get the format from this file.
And then it's based on locale. I see.
Yeah. I think we only have, so France, Japanese, I guess. Yeah, and so I will, look at this. Like this one, it's, I wish I could, okay, this is better. It can return any of these. And for the I don't know how to say that, E164, it will call the cell phone with country code, which will like fetch one country code from here that can have between 1 and 4 digits. Add a cell phone, and I guess remove the +1 or something like that. And so,
wait, what is that? It's deleting the start of the string, the first digit.
Yeah, I think, yeah. So, yeah, I don't know what would be the here. So I guess, for example, it is probably removing this. But then, what if the number is like this? Yeah. And so the issue here is that, okay, it can generate a really long string. That's the main issue that people have been reporting. But I think the issue is, what is the purpose of that generated, I guess?
Yeah, and it says based on the country code HU, it should be 8 to 9 characters. So that's what PhoneLib is doing. But
Yeah. Yeah. Should be only 8 or 9 characters following. So my initial thought was, okay, maybe when we call the cell phone with the country code, oh, I lost my mouse. Instead of us calling this method here, that will add all of that stuff. We followed the recommendation of only being 8 or 9 characters, and we don't use all of those potential formats. Yeah.
Well, the cell phone formats are more limited. They're on line 25.
Oh, right. Yeah, it's the cell phone. So we have 1, 2, 3. Yeah. But the issue is that, for example, because we like this is also fetching one from the country code. The country code can be between 1 and 4. And that could mess up with. Can you hear that? No.
Yeah, I can. But is it a passing train? Is that what
Yeah.
it is? You're on rails now.
Yeah, I'm all right. Yeah. So that's one issue, I guess, that we could potentially work on, but
well, we're in it now.
Yeah. How does that sound?
Yeah, what's not clear to me is the person said when that person on that issue says in HU based on the country code. HU. What is, how are they setting, or is the country code for HU included in that array of possible country codes? Is it one of
here when
I'm in the YAML? Is HU one of these country codes?
I don't think so. Sorry, I'm lost. What does HU mean?
I don't know. Hungary?
Okay.
Plus 36.
Oh, so it should be there, I guess. Just search for 36. Yeah. Okay.
So that's what the person means. So I think part of the issue is it's pairing a random country code with a random format.
Yeah. Yes. Which is what the generator document says it does. Like, it cannot guarantee the format or the length. So I guess that one, yeah, exactly. So,
and one of these has a country code already.
So what Fabio is saying is like, yeah, so it sounds like we need a localization for Hungary. Yeah, I think that's one of the main contributions that Baker could benefit right now would be the localizations. And this generator hasn't been updated in a while, so probably we didn't even have different locales before. So in that case,
do any of the other locales have a phone number format?
So I only found the French.
Okay, so they do, but they do include it.
Yeah. Just a cell phone, I guess. So format. Okay, so just the format, but not the country code. And then let's see the Japanese. Yeah, same thing.
But really, it's the decoupling of the
Mm-hmm.
random country code with a random format, because it has like someone in Hungary, if they were dealing with a United States phone number,
Yeah.
would do +1 and then the number. They wouldn't do a Hungary formatted
Mm-hmm.
number with +1.
Mm.
So it seems to me like the issue is like you can generate a +36 with having a Hungary locale wouldn't cause well, I guess you could.
It's tricky. I know. I have been thinking. I have been thinking about this one for a while.
Because if you only included +36 in the Hungary locale,
Mm-hmm.
the locale isn't we're not necessarily running the specs with the locale of Hungary set. It's someone in the United States using Faker
Mm-hmm.
to generate an E164 number could end up with +36
Mm-hmm.
combined with one of those formats, which is going to lead to an invalid number with +36.
Yeah. Yeah. Some. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe we need to break down this file.
Well, it stands out to me that this one includes a country code.
Mm-hmm.
None of the other ones do, and the country code is a thing that is also separate. And the fact that it's the US country code.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I bet so I haven't worked on Faker before, but specs for this would be ridiculous because
Yeah.
you would be randomly generating something.
Yeah. So that's a funny that's an interesting point because the way that, especially for those generators, is we basically just test that it's here in this regex, because it would be insane to verify like specific results. Yeah. Yeah.
So, can we go back to the GitHub issue?
Mm-hmm.
Did anyone suggest a solution? No.
No. Yeah. Let me see. Maybe we can. Yeah, it's the same error. So I guess.
Can you go back to? Hey, that's someone who's been on the stream today. Tiago.
It's not our Tiago though.
I know.
We have a Tiago Araújo at thoughtbot as well. That leads to a lot of confusion.
Yeah, someone with the same name as you. Good afternoon, Dave. We are working on Faker now for those just turning in.
Yeah. Oh, there is this locale for English from Great Britain, from England. I did not find that one.
Yeah, it wasn't in the files listed there.
Yeah.
Maybe it's if you click on it, where does it go? That's a clickable.
Oh, okay. It's here.
Okay.
Phone number. Okay, so this one has the specific formats here. And the cell phone as well.
Right. So I think there's potentially two use cases here. One is someone has put their application in a particular locale, and then phone numbers are being generated because incorrectly, because say they put it in Hungary and there was no Hungary locale, then everything being generated is going to, if they're validating for local phone numbers, for example,
right,
they're all going to be the wrong format. Then the separate issue is even someone in the US locale or the EN locale can generate a number like plus 36 plus, and then space and then this number, which is going to be invalid regardless. And those, I think, are two separate issues.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess.
Can we go back to this? Still confuses me. What is this actually doing?
I don't know. It does. It deletes something there. We can try on the console.
Yeah, sure.
Because rejects us. So if we put, I don't know. What should it delete?
So it's does delete take a string and treat it as a regular expression?
Oh, okay. I don't know. We can
delete on a string. Returns a copy of self with characters specified by selectors. Multiple character selectors.
I guess this one. Yeah. Okay. Let's see what we receive here. Okay. So this one calls this one and adds this. So if we just do a cell phone, and then we do, oops, delete. Okay. Oh, it removes everything that is not a number. Is that it? It removes the spaces and the parentheses.
Yep, that's what it did. I'm not familiar with that delete method on a string. It looks like, according to the documentation, it's not regular expressions. It's its own syntax. I have it up on. Sorry, I forgot that you can't see this, Stephanie.
It's okay. I can read a little bit. Yeah. Delete is returning it. That's what you see.
Yeah, in the simplest case, the character selected. So a leading caret functions as a not operator. And a hyphen between two other characters defines a range. So yeah, so what that's saying is not anything that's not a plus symbol or 0 through 9.
I love rejections.
But it's in this case it's not a regular expression because that would mean the beginning of the string. Okay, so I understand what it's doing now. But this is an example. See, what you just generated here is an invalid number, in part because it already has a country code on it.
Yes.
So when we said cell phone with country code and we got 2 country codes, the number being generated is too long.
Yeah, exactly.
If we didn't have that one in the things, would it be a valid number?
We can check. Yeah, I was actually even thinking about all of those. Like, I don't know. That it's the cell phone, right? So this one. Yeah. That would be like the same length. It would just have different delimiters, let's say.
Oh, this one actually is the same as the first one in the array now, so it's fine.
Right. So we can remove it. Yeah. Cool. Because it has to be 8 or 9. 11 is too much. Okay. And I even tried like finding out, okay, what is the maximum? Yeah. But
15.
It can have a maximum of 15. It was okay, that is helpful. But yeah, I guess.
Okay, well, generating numbers with 2 country codes in them seems flat out wrong to me.
Yeah.
And
it will add. Yeah, I wonder if even this one from here, but that's
no, because that one's generating phone numbers and it's not used by the E164. So
yeah, should be good to go. Okay, I guess can we call reload here? I don't know. Is that just erasing?
Yeah, I think so.
So if we do L1, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3. And then what is the other one? Cell phone in.
Yeah.
Okay. 50. So that would be 3, 6, 10. So
Yeah.
because this one, I think it's the country code. And that one is not just one number.
Yeah.
Can we confirm that?
Yeah. So Fabio
Yeah.
in the chat, and I'm going to highlight this, is saying the same thing I was saying, which I think is right. The fact that we're randomly taking a country code and randomly taking a number
Yeah.
and mashing them together, you can't guarantee that the
Yeah.
country that you're generating then a number for is the same that matches.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that some, like if we search for, because this is outside the phone number, as you can see. If we search for this here, there are already some. Okay, I guess if we just search for in the files, I think, yes, some not default, just country code. Yeah, some locales already have them. So
right.
Yeah.
So that would only apply though if you were if you were putting your application into that locale.
Locale, yes.
The default locale is this EN1 is generating numbers for all different kinds of countries.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess we can limit the country codes from here. I guess it's just one for the US, or can you
It is just one for the US. I don't know what those 1 dash whatevers are. That seems like a country and an area code to me. I don't know what those are.
Those? Yeah. Phone number, country codes. I think list of country calling codes.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And then the one, what are these? North American numbering plan.
One.
Yeah. So it's adding the area code to that. That shouldn't be included in the. That shouldn't be included in the country codes. Those are not country codes.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, I guess we can remove those now.
How much do you like? It seems to me like that's the kind of change where either, I mean, people shouldn't be depending on that, right? But you never know what someone's going to be doing out in the wild.
Yeah.
Let's try delete it. This is definitely not a valid number. They're not country codes. They're area codes.
No, go back. Wanted to go through here.
Well, you don't need. I think we can just delete those lines entirely because we already have the one.
Oh, right, because we already have the one there. Thank you. I think this. Oh, there is one here. Let's remove that as well.
Well, it had a 61 right above it.
Got it. So if we just, I guess if I search for this, okay, we are in the country code, right? Okay. So interesting.
Can we look? I'm just curious. What is the 7 on that list of country codes that you found on that website? What is the 7 dash? Go back, or it's the Twilio page. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean that. I
Go ahead.
accidentally clicked.
Yeah. Do you want
I
to?
accidentally clicked.
Okay, so I guess 7, zone 7, Russia and neighboring regions. Formally assigned until its dissolution in 1991.
Yeah, it just means that that's what it used to be called.
6 and 7, Kazakhstan.
Yeah, Dave is suggesting that looking at the git blame to see whether they were all added in bulk or piecemeal. Because it does sort of look like someone just generated a list or got a list of all the country codes and included them.
Yeah, I looked at that, and I think it was exactly that. It was just a list of so valid fixes. Okay, let's go to the file.
I think you have the git blame
in the. I want to go to lib. Default phone number. Here.
Well, it's the YAML file.
Oh, you want to go to the YAML?
Yeah.
Okay. So that would be lib locales and phone number. Yeah. So this was the PR that added them all. Add plus. Yeah. Country code. So setting everything.
Well, the 7-6 is not the same. It's not going to generate the same number of numbers, right? It's not going because it's not the same as a number than 3 more numbers. So it might be safe to leave that because it's not going to ultimately result in a number that's any bigger than like the 57 that's here.
Okay.
Whether it's a valid phone number for that part of Russia, who knows?
That's the tricky part.
Is there anybody from there on the stream? I know. So I'm sitting in the US and I know that this isn't going to generate. This is area codes. The second part of this is an area code, which is already here. It's this part of this number.
Yeah.
So that is wrong.
Yeah. Sounds good. I mean, that's the good part of being a maintainer also. This is what it's gonna do.
So it worries me that all these changes we're making to remove these isn't going to change the spec at all.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, and I don't have an answer for that because I have been thinking about that. There are a bunch of, and I think that someone even created a issue about that, like the the tests are just like returning strings. We don't even try to assert what if it is something that we expect or something. But yeah, I guess we can do one thing at a time.
Yeah.
So that was the 7. Find the 7 here. And it would be 7, 6.
Yeah, it was 7-6 and 7-7, if I remember right.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess we can, I don't know, start wrapping up and maybe comment on the issue. Where is the issue?
We could open a draft pull request and say, we've got this draft pull request which removes the country code that was embedded into one of the cell phone formats and removes the country codes that included area codes for the United States, which would generate too long numbers.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I guess a follow-up task would be to add the country codes to the other locales, like the remaining locales. I don't know what they are, but yeah, this seems to be a Russian locale, and it only has the 7 here.
Actually, that's a good point.
Yeah. I think so. I only got involved with Baker last year, so I don't really know when the locales were introduced. Yeah, but it's something that I see lots of opportunities if anyone is looking for a project to contribute to. Yeah, we probably I have no way of knowing if those things in Russian or in Japanese are correct. I don't know. I'm not from there, and so yeah. So that's a good opportunity if anyone is looking for open source projects to contribute. Cool. Okay, so I will move this to a branch, and everyone can take a look at the repository later. And yeah, I'll also take a look at the numbers that are being generated using Phonelib to see how it's working now with those changes.
Phonelib can't generate fake numbers, right?
No.
Yeah.
It just yeah, you can set the country as well, but it doesn't generate. Because I thought of doing that. I was like, okay, let me look at what the libraries use to generate the phones, but you have to pass a phone number already. So yeah, this was interesting, like possible, impossible. I liked the name.
Yeah. Cool. Is there we've got about a half hour remaining. Is there something else on Faker that we might be able to contribute to?
I mean, there are some open issues here. I haven't even taken a look at them. There is this one that I created a while ago, and I think that this one is not related, but there has been a discussion about breaking down some of the generators out of the main library and then providing the other ones as an optional configuration. And this one is kind of tricky because I don't know what generators people use. So sorry, I don't have like actionable.
Yeah, no problem.
It's just for us to tackle today.
Yeah. Well,
But
hopefully that was helpful for the phone
yeah.
numbers thing to at least talk through it. And I
Yeah,
think,
it was.
I think the change we actually made definitely makes it less likely to generate invalid phone numbers,
Yeah.
but doesn't completely resolve the issue. And I think we did converge on this idea of you can't really take a random country code and pair it with a random phone number.
Yeah.
You have to really, there should be a database of these country codes. This is how many digits there are in the phone number there.
Yeah.
And you can generate a random country code, but then you've got to look up the format to use for that number. That seems like it would be the most correct way to generate valid phone numbers.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a good pairing. I really appreciate that. And yeah, so on that note, I don't know if I should say this yet. Probably we will be on RubyConf this year. They are having this new initiative called Community Day, and we'll have a hack day, and we will be there. I think, yeah, me, Tiago, and another one of Baker's maintainers. And I think that this issue of breaking out the multiple generators, figuring that out would be a great opportunity to do on RubyConf. So if anyone is going, that would be a good way to hang
we've got
out.
a bunch of people from thoughtbot too. So you're going.
Yeah.
Aji and Joelle are going. They both have talks. And then I think probably 3 or 4 additional people at least from thoughtbot are going as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you see any of us, say hi, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, in the last 20 minutes, do you want to change the version of Rails in our gem file?
Yeah, let's do it.
To be so let's go back to Tuple here. Share my screen. Oh, that's the actual book. Oh, I closed. That is not what I wanted. Whoops.
Oh.
It's okay. Where did the editor go that now I need to... This is the book. This is the
book. I think I have to open folder.
Yeah, but I was connected to the remote I was connected to the remote instance. I need to figure out how to do that again.
Maybe if you minimize the Ruby Science book, Is there somewhere?
I think I closed it without realizing.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
Okay.
Okay, so what I suggested was we've got our specs completely passing. We can and what I'm doing is looking up the last stable version of Rails 4.2 because we want to jump to that. So 4.2.11.3.
Nice.
So generally speaking, we want to go incrementally because things are going to break at pretty much every step of the way. And if we were to, for example, go to 4 to 5, too much stuff could break. So we'll do a bundle update Rails, which is going to go to 4.2.11.3. There's a possibility that we're going to run into a Ruby version problem. I don't think so, but in the case, there's a compatibility table on this page here, which tells us the recommended version of Ruby 4.2 is 2.1. I mean, in this case, we're in 2.2. Recommended version of 4.2 anything is 2.2. So we shouldn't run into a version problem. Cool. So we've bundled so let's run our specs and see what nightmares await us. No.
Oh.
Okay. So where's that happening? So that's happening in Nokogiri. In application dot. So Nokogiri is not specified in our thing. And so that sort of surprises me because Capybara is
both
Rails DOM testing. So it's using, nothing explicitly is nothing in our gem file is explicitly requiring Nokogiri. So let's try. Well, actually, we're on 1.3. What we learned, because we're so old here, what we were finding was some gems were updating too much when we just said update because they didn't have good upper limits on them. Okay, so it's at 1.15, which isn't that far away from. Well, actually, we're at 1.3. Let's just. So we'll do a bundle update Nokogiri, see what version it will go to, and we can see if that's a problem.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. So what it seems to me is happening here is that something Rails 4.2 probably is using this new class, which is not in the Nokogiri version. that we have.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm surprised that, Bundler attempted to update Nokogiri, but its version stayed the same.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. It was Nokogiri HTML4.
Mm-hmm.
We can see when that was introduced and
Mm-hmm.
why. So it's since version 1.12. And we're on 1.3.
Mm-hmm.
And that version came out it's not on this page. Came out in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting then that it's being Sprocket Rails really made a version jump there. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to check when. I should have opened this in a separate window. So we're doing a little sleuthing here. We're going to check when 4.2.11.3. So, that came out in 2020, but the actual version of this must be just a security patch. The actual version of 4.2.11 came out in November 27th, 2018. Nokogiri 1.12, which introduced came out in 2021. So there's no way that those two things can depend on each other. And so now let's see Sprockets Rails. And so the current version is 3.4. We jumped to 3.2 when we upgraded Rails. And so 3.2, so 3.3 came out in 2021. 3.2 was 2016. 3.2.2 was September 12th, 2020. Do you see how AREL also went to 6.4?
Yeah.
So on these old gems, they might not have had good version constraints, and no one caught it at the time because 4.2 was the latest version of Rails. So if there was no upper bound put on it, it wouldn't be installing a newer version. I'm not saying that is the problem here, but that it smells like that's the problem. We were running into that a lot when we went to 4.0. Like a bunch of stuff was upgrading because it didn't have good upper bounds on it.
Let's see.
Mini test also jumped from 5.15 to 4.7. Sorry, from 4.7 to 5.15. So something here is introduced. So we just upgraded Rails to 4.2, and we got a bunch more updates of things. So something here is depending on Nokogiri 112, but doesn't have a good dependency specified. I think what we should try to do, unless you have a better idea, is add a explicit dependency for Nokogiri, and it would be 1.12. That'll do the last version of 1.12.
Sounds good.
And we'll see whether that runs. I'm still concerned about the fact that I saw AREL going to 6.0. I think AREL is part of... Whoops. Okay, well, it's specified there as 6.0. So we can hope for the best. Was resolved to 1.12.5, which depends on Ruby 2.5. Okay. So in this case, we have a choice to make. We can say, okay, we've upgraded to 4.2. We're now hitting something that depends on Ruby 2.5, but we're on 2.5. And we could just change to Ruby 2.5. We run the risk when we do that, though, that we'll now have changed two things. We'll have changed the version of Ruby and the version of Rails, and a whole bunch of stuff could be broken, and we won't know which one it was that broke it. So the best thing to do in this scenario is to go back, revert to the version of Rails that we started with, check whether, first of all, check whether 4.2 can run on 2.5. This table is ambiguous. Can Rails 4.2 run?
Open Rails.
If you need 2.5 support, you should at least use Rails 5.1.
5.
Okay. So yeah, we can't. So there's a dependency thing here where we can't go to this version because it requires 2.5, but our Rails 4.2 doesn't work with 2.5. So we need to, in order to fix this properly and take small steps, we need to figure out where this Nokogiri HTML4 thing is actually coming from. Or we could alternatively go back through and try to lock down some of this stuff. So for example, so we can probably, if we look at the things, so Capybara. Loofah. I don't know what Loofah is.
It's HTML sanitizer.
Ooh, it's an HTML sanitizer. That sounds like something that might depend on Nokogiri.
Yeah, it's like, actually, yeah. I think, oh, that's interesting. I was working with that. It's the library that Rails uses to validate, to parse and sanitizes HTML. And on Loofah's README, there is a note about HTML4 and HTML5. So there's definitely something. I think you're into something there with Loofah. It's a great gem, by the way. Learn.
Okay.
So what they have about HTML4.
Yep. Okay. So if this is using Nokogiri HTML4. This says it's a
Yeah.
okay, so 2.21 is the version that was installed, which is the latest version. That is not going to work. So this is an example of, they must not have a good. Here's what I mean. If we go into the gem spec. Oh wait, it's not Loofah that has the bad dependency. It's whatever is requiring Loofah, which is Rails probably, doesn't have an upper bound on its Loofah dependency that, maybe if I had to guess, it's probably like tilde 2 dot whatever. And so it's allowing it to go up, but it's probably not actually. Okay.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
need to go back to the version of Loofah that existed when Rails 4.2 actually came out. So if we go back, 4.2.11 came out November 27th, 2018. So 2.2.3. Right? Yeah.
Yeah. So
October is before November.
Oh, yeah. So it's Rails 4.2 now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that version of Rails, the HTML sanitizer was replaced with Loofah in Nokogiri. But there's the new HTML sanitizer.
So hopefully locking Loofah down to, instead of the current version, the one that existed back in 2018, will fix this problem.
Yeah. Okay. Was result. Back.
2.19. That's probably okay.
Let's try it out. Loop.
The funny thing about this, and we hit this too on some other things, is at some point Loofah is probably going to be removed from Rails. So we're adding things to the gem file to lock them down so that we can move forward. But then these things are going to... 2.19 with a tilde is going to match 2.21. Sorry, I wasn't paying close enough attention. I think probably we just want to do this so we can get it locked down and see if it's working.
Yeah.
So we're coming up on the end of today's session. Let's see if we successfully bundle. And if we do, yeah, cool. Okay, so let's just, before we wrap today, let's run the spec file, see if it actually runs. We didn't get it to run before. And if it runs, see what the damage is. I really appreciate everyone tuning in again today. This is the third live streaming session. Started for the first time last week. We've made some improvements to the quality and had a bunch of great guests over the last 2 weeks. So Stefanni, thanks for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for the invite. and thanks everyone.
Yeah, this has been, this is real work that I'm doing. As it's not contrived for the live stream, and we're really doing it on the fly. So I appreciate everyone's help along the way and the great collaboration. Like I said at the top, thoughtbot is available to work on your Rails app, to maintain it, to grow it, to upgrade it. You can get in touch at thoughtbot.com. And if you're interested in having a conversation about that. 4 failures. That's not too bad. That's not too bad at all. Yeah. We got some email mailer changes. Ooh, they're all in the mailer. So that means to me that in 4.2 something changed with mailers.
Yeah.
And we'll dig into that next time. Like I said, we're going to have other guests on. Eventually, we're going to move on from this Rails upgrade. And so I plan on doing some feature development. We're going to have other people on working on different open source projects, both thoughtbot projects and other projects like Faker, Rails, other things that we contribute to. If you have ideas for topics, definitely drop them in the comments in this live stream or on the video. Everything's available to view after the sessions as well. Thank you again, everybody. And we'll leave you with some more dance pop for the weekend.
Yeah. Happy weekend. Thank you, everyone. Should have some confettis. And I think I saw some comments about Faker. I will see the comments later and add to the issue. But yeah, that's something that I'm not sure about. Like, that's why I'm bringing it to RubyConf. Yeah, that was really, really fun.
Thank you so much, Stefanni, and you have a great weekend.
Yeah, you too. Bye,
everybody.
Bye.